Hello beautiful people, I know by now you've already heard that nurses make quite a good amount of money. Like I was watching a video from someone, I think she was from California, and she was saying they make almost $100,000 in a year. That is like 10 million Kenyan shillings in a year. Then you find that some of us may try comparing that to the Kenyan salary, not knowing there are some factors that make them earn that amount of money and make us earn this amount of money. So today I'd just like to talk about that and things that we can try and bring in, especially as Kenyan nurses, to make us earn more. If you're new here, my name is Lois Odor, and on this channel I talk about nursing. I also do vlogs and a little bit about self-development. So if that is something you're interested in, then you should consider subscribing. So when it comes to the cost of living, as I was saying, so you remember you have a salary. Let's deal with someone who has who earns 40,000 Kenyan shillings per month. That is like by the end of the year they could have earned almost like 500,000 Kenyan shillings. That is like $5,000 in a year. So you might try comparing $5,000 with someone who is earning $100,000. So you're not remembering that these people, the amount that they spend on expenses is not the same as ours. Like maybe you might be spending 9,000 Kenyan shillings on rent, that is like $90. Someone is paying 10 times than that, or even higher than that. So that makes them to just have to be paid higher so that they can cater for those expenses. But still, even if the expenses they are quite high, still Kenyan nurses are being paid really low. It's still really low, because the amount of work that they do, like when I was in my clinicals, like those times that I was in my clinicals, you find that a nurse can be only like one nurse or two nurses per shift, but then during this shift, this nurse has to cater for like 40 patients or even more than that, and maybe it's just her and maybe 2 students or something like that. So that amount of money that they're being paid is still quite low. And then the other thing is that we Kenyan nurses, we haven't dived into the different ways of earning money as a nurse, because after we graduate, like almost all of us are going into bedside nursing, because most of the time it is like it's the only option. Like what else can we do if it's not bedside nursing? Like we are so lucky that nowadays people are trying to bring in the home care stuff and the agencies and such kind of stuff, but it's still quite low. Like I saw this lady who was doing like the home care, and there were like 2 nurses, and people are not still understanding how home care works, like the insecurities in this country. Like someone cannot just imagine that they'll call you, then you come to their house and then you take care of them from their house. Like people have so many insecurities. Everyone just wants to go to the hospital, and then this is making the hospital to be so congested. You find that in that ward we have patients who are like really like ill. They really need to be in the hospital, but then we have these other ones, like those who are old, those who have chronic illnesses. Yes, like they've already gotten out of the like serious state. Now they can even survive at home, but they're still being kept in the hospital for months and months, that they're still receiving treatment. So these are the kind of people I'm talking about. These are the people who can be taken care of from home. Then you can have other nurses to be working from, like taking care of those patients from home. Then you do the home care. You go look at this patient, how they are, check them, their vitals, what and what, then make sure that they've taken their medication, and then that is just the work that you're doing. Because not everyone is usually interested in bedside nursing, and that is why you find that so many nurses are in the field, but yet they are so rude. It's like they don't like their job. Maybe they are not interested in bedside nursing, and there are no other options. So I think we should try and incorporate and bring in other options of nursing, like other ways in which a nurse can work. But then I think at times it is just us to come up with these things, because something like side hustles, there's so many side hustles that nurses can get into. But this can only happen if we are given a certain like number of free time. Because imagine you are working from 7 to 4 p.m. that is for a private hospital, to 4 or 4:30. When you get home, that will be like almost 5 or 6, and you have to just cook, eat and sleep, and then there's nothing you can do. And that is why so many of us are not even trying to bring in the side hustle stuff. But then if we reduce the amount of work we employ so many nurses, so that you don't feel so tired and you don't consume all your time in the hospital. I think that's when we'll start like getting into creating our own side hustles. I created a video about side hustles that you can do as a nurse, so you can check that video out. The other thing is that, let's say you want to earn extra money. Apart from the locums, they should say that we should start being paid per hour. I know maybe it's not possible, but I think that can really help so many of us, because if you're being paid per hour, you can decide to take in extra shifts, you can decide to work even overtime, so that at least the number of hours you work can increase, so that you can at least make more money. But then you find that for most hospitals, they're being paid monthly, like it is just 4,000 Kenyan shillings, or that is like $400, 40,000 Kenyan shillings, like $400. That is the amount you're being paid by the end of the month. Whether you work extra, that is your own problem. No one told you to work extra. Whether you take in extra shifts, that is your own problem. For most hospitals, that is. You are just given the salary, and it is the exact amount by the end of the month. So you cannot, like, trying to get locums and working in some other places, it's not even easy, because someone is trying to get that as their job. Yeah, someone is trying to work at that place, even if it is a small clinic, as a job. So for you to just find it as a locum, it's quite hard still. So you have to just try. And the other thing, staying in the field for long, like working as a nurse for quite a long amount of period, can be able to help you so that your salary can be increased, because at times you increase in terms of rank, and the more you stay, the more you gain the trust, and the more your salary increases. So you don't have to keep on moving from one career to the other. You stick in a certain field for quite some time, and that can increase your salary. The other thing is about your education. Like if you did certificate, you try and do a diploma. If you did a diploma, you try and do a degree. So because a nurse was done certificate, diploma and degree, they cannot be paid the same amount of salary. So increasing your education can be able to help you increase your income. If you're interested in going back to school, some of us are not going back to school anymore. And then the other thing is specializing. Like here, usually say advancing, doing an advanced degree or an advanced diploma. So if you do, let's say you specialize in ICU, or you specialize in pediatrics, like when you specialize something, it increases your salary, because you become, like, your rank increases. And I don't know about specializing in this country, because it's so hard to hear, because I think the number of times I've been in my clinicals, I've never had something like she's a pediatric nurse or something, or she's a nurse anesthetist. Like, I think the field is so saturated, because the anesthetist or those who advance are usually the clinical medicine. I usually see the clinical medicine students are the ones who, like, really get into the advancing, so they can become an anesthetist or something like that. But it is something that we nurses should get into, going back to school and specializing in something that you're interested in. And then that is the thing that, if you, like, in other countries, you find that someone like an anesthetist can be paid for almost, like, it's usually $80 per hour. That is quite nice, because the other nurses are being paid like 20 something or $35 per hour. So yeah, I think we should really get into that. So yes, it's true, nurses do make quite amount of money, but mostly in other countries. When you go in other countries, nurses are really ranked high when it comes to the salary. When we come back here in this country, we haven't really tried to create ways for nurses to make a good amount of money. Each and every year they keep on crying about the salaries are not enough. Here in the strike, they quit their jobs, they do, because we are all getting into the bedside nursing. Nowadays you're so flooded, like nowadays everyone wants to do nursing, so it's so flooded. We are all trying to get into bedside nursing. We don't have so many hospitals around, so that is why nowadays it's becoming so hard to, like, earn good amount of money in this country. But then I think it's high time we start finding ways of making good money as nurses. We try creating other things. We can look at other countries, what other nurses are doing. Like we start having, like, nursing homes and home care stuff. Like we usually have home-based care, like, that are owned by nurses. We get into business, we become entrepreneurs as nurses, and I think, like, we are really going to change the name in this country too. So yeah, those are called dreams. So thank you for watching this video, and I'll see you on my next video. Bye bye.